The everlasting vicious cycle on this social media plane, more so on the YouTube plane. Now, what is it? How can we explain it? And what is the best way to define it to those who just cannot comprehend, or rather, do not grasp the concept entirely? That is why we are here today. So that when you are asked just how can you explain this vicious cycle and what the best methods are to detect when something is turning into a vicious cycle, you can give them at least somewhat of a concrete, definitive answer. Or at the very least, provide a reference baseline for any discourse or discussion that you may wish to have regarding this said vicious cycle. After all, if we are truly to comprehend or understand this very concept, we must first demystify it. And that is why we are here today, as part of the first episode of my new Demystifying series that will be on this channel from now on. Starting every week on Friday, the video will be another Demystifying series episode. So this is episode 1 of Cynical Apex Demystifies, starting with the aforementioned vicious cycle of social media. Before we begin, if you guys want more content from this channel, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, or view some of the videos that will be in the top corner in a card when they pop up on the screen. That should be about now. Now on to the discussion itself. First of all, what is a vicious cycle? What does it mean for something to be stuck within the concept of a vicious cycle, or even its polar opposite, a virtuous cycle? First of all, it is a complex chain of events. There is no one way to simply explain what starts a vicious cycle or how a vicious cycle operates outside of the fact that it is something that is reinforced via feedback, via reactions within the chain itself, until its momentum is stopped by a factor external to the cycle. Now, there is also no sense of equilibrium or balance, so to speak, so the cycle just keeps rolling on and on and on. A primary example of a vicious cycle in social media is when someone does an exposed video and then person B, or the one that was supposedly exposed within the video, does a response, and then person A, who did the exposing, responds back. Whilst going on between that, there is that argumentative nature of the fans and both parties trying to agree or disagree with the side that they believe is right or factually correct based off their opinions, as well as some of the evidence or receipts that people claim have been delivered within this cycle of viciousness. And therefore, it will have a detrimental impact on both parties, or rather all parties that are involved within this sort of drama, within this landscape, due to the fact that it just keeps going on and on with no real appearance of stopping until somebody steps up and says, hey, here's a platform, here's where you guys can explain what happened, and we can try to articulate it, and we can try to at least prevent this cycle from becoming more vicious than it actually has, due to the fact that it is not only affecting your health socially, but it's also affecting the social media landscape in a detrimental manner as well. Now, of course, there are people who perpetuate this vicious cycle by doing a certain thing that they know is going to get them attention, that they know the negative feedback is going to be positively reinforced. And yes, I know that's somewhat of a contradiction, but when you get the constant feedback loops, each iteration of this feedback is reinforcing what has already been stated before, and the principles behind that original feedback or that previous iteration of the feedback as the cycle goes on is an example of the vicious cycle being positively reinforced, so to speak. And yes, I know that I said before it was a negative thing, and it is. However, this isn't just isolated to social media or even to exposed videos. However, in today's current climate and landscape, social media's vicious cycles are the ones that are most prevalent. Another prominent example is the consistent stream of selfies and other food-style pictures that are posted so that they can solely serve the purpose of getting likes, retweets, and comments. And if they don't get what is assumed to be a satisfactory amount of those images are deleted, and the cycle repeats itself over and over again. Pictures are posted solely for attention and self-worth. Then you have, if they don't get a satisfactory amount of those, attention, comments, likes, retweets, reposts on Instagram, shares on Facebook or whatever, they'll be deleted, which leads to the cycle of the self-esteem continuously going down, and the perception of one's self-worth following it down the rabbit hole, only for the cycle to repeat itself over and over again each following day, each following picture that is posted, to the point where it actually becomes an obsession. It becomes an addiction that you can't find a way out of until someone intervenes, with that somebody or whoever it is that does ultimately intervene providing the external engine that or element that breaks the chain or breaks the cycle and gives you at least some respite from it until you relapse and fall right back into the chain. Just like with videos, just like with your Jake Pauls, as you see, his self-value, and this is just my opinion, so don't take it too seriously, is determined by the reaction, the likes, the replies, the attention that it garners him from channels like your news reporters, or your drama alerts, whatever you want to call them, your commentary channels who react and keep positively reinforcing their opinions, which are often negative, but to Jake, any attention is better than no attention. And I know I've talked about that many a times, and the video card for the costs of social media where I talked about it will be up in the corner as well. However, it is also well and truly a rabbit hole or a vicious cycle to be discussed here, and something that just keeps going on and on to the point where people realize, hey, this is what it is. We're not going to talk about it because it doesn't look like he's going to change. It doesn't look like no matter what we say, we are actually fueling his own cycle. We are fueling the acts that he is partaking within, just like with prank channels, and how you'll notice that from time to time, even though, yes, they do garner attention because people feel like for some reason they have to point out that they're fake, and that fans will go to a movie and be like, fake, even though that should be obvious. I mean, come on, it's entertainment. That's what social media is for. In fact, as I've always said, and this mightn't be relevant, but it sort of explains it, so YouTube is the television of the internet, so to speak. You have all different genres, all different people and personalities within this landscape, all posting different sorts of videos hoping for the same goal. Whether or not that further perpetuates this vicious cycle, whether or not this perpetuates the self-esteem fluctuating as your likes, as your comments, as people reacting to you fluctuate. And as such, causes you to continue trying to go more and more aggressive in your pursuit of the attention. You're trying to do things that you know deep down inside that you normally wouldn't do. that you know goes against things that you had claimed to stand for. However, if it's going to generate you attention, if it's going to make sure that you get in and buy into a share of the pie due to FOMO or fear of missing out, as it's better well known as, then you will continue doing it. That's just natural instincts. It's called fight or flight, so to speak. It's a different concept to what we're talking about here, but it plays into the vicious cycle, because flight means would you just accept that you're not getting the attention, or fight, which means fighting for the attention and doing whatever you can to get that attention, to garner those reactions that you had fed off in the past. Which has occurred as social media has become more commercial, as it's become a commodity to have X amount of likes, X amount of comments, X amount of retweets, X amount of shares, with X being an arbitrary number that is determined by what is popular and what is trendy within the masses at the time. Anyway, that's all I actually wanted to really talk about here with you guys, was just giving you guys an explanation of the vicious cycle and some examples of it, as well as some context to what I mean when I say it, to just sort of demystify it for you guys. Now, how do you handle it? The way you handle it is by trying to just not allow social media to define you, to not allow something like popularity to dictate the value in which you hold yourself, the value of which you want others to hold you to as well. Anyway, as I was saying, I know I say that a lot, but I'm actually going to just wrap up the video here, because I've said all I needed to in order to sort of demystify it and give you a baseline knowledge of what it is. I will go more in depth soon on this, and I will discuss this concept in other videos as well, of course. But anyway, and I know this video was meant to go up a couple of days ago, but I've been busy and only just finished recording it now. But as I said earlier on, if you like this video, feel free to like, comment and subscribe for more content. And I'll be back with the next video quite soon. Bye!